Thank you, everyone. So I'm going to talk about, my title is How Buddhism Broke Into My Life. Okay. So, quite early on in life, I think I was confronted with some difficulties. When I was 4 years old, I was diagnosed with a learning difficulty. So it was okay. So I didn't go to a special school or anything. I stayed at the primary school I was going to go to. But what it did mean for me was that so I had an SEN teacher, and for quite a lot of my school work I was kind of taken to one side, and sort of I had my own sort of like focus apart from the other kids. And I'm really grateful that support was given to me, and I think it probably was really helpful. But I think at the same time it sort of started this view for me that was a bit different to everyone else, and I kind of felt like, I don't know, I didn't feel quite like I fit in with the rest of my class. So I think I took this view into secondary school actually with me. So funnily enough, I decided to just give all of that support up when I went into secondary school. I decided I don't want an SEN teacher. I don't want to have extra time on exams. I don't want any more support, just because I thought it just made me feel too different, and I wanted to fit in more, like all kids do. But I don't know, I still had this idea that I was different. But for me, I'd say my first contact with Buddhism was when I was actually at school studying religious studies. So I had this, when we did our GCSEs, we sat down with this teacher, and he was just absolutely mad. He was really, really mad. He identified as a Buddhist, but you can see where this is going. And but he had these like really, really bad anger issues. Like really, really. I mean, like for like really small things. Like say if our top buttons were undone, or if our tie was a bit loose, he'd just go into this complete rage. Like he marching up and down the corridors, like using physical punishment, even like forcing people to do press-ups, that kind of thing. I think he really needed Buddhism. But I remember, so when we sat down to do our GCSEs for like not the coursework, sort of studying for our GCSE material, he said to us, okay, well, so we got our new textbooks and everything, and so we were just like looking over all of the religions that we were about to learn about for the next couple of years. And it was really interesting. There was like loads on Hinduism, Judaism, like Sikhism. We were really excited. Like that kind of stuff really fascinated me. But he sat us down and he said to us, okay, look, I've got an announcement to make to everyone. I basically figured out that you only need to know about 2 religions to get full marks on your GCSE papers, just so that you can compare the 2 religions. So he said, I'm only going to teach you about Buddhism and a little bit of Christianity so you can compare it. And he said, does anyone have a problem with that? And of course, like, we were terrified of him. So for 2 years, I just learned loads about Buddhism, loads and loads and loads. It was good. And the thing is, because he was a Buddhist, we didn't really use the textbook. I mean, he kind of just drew from his own experience. So like, it was good. And so I don't know, we'd do things like meditation in class as well. Like we'd go to our RS classes, and it would just be like sitting down to meditate with chant stuff. It was absolutely amazing. I was only like, I must have been like 12, 13, something like that. And it was really great. And what I found was that, so we'd only do like 5-10 minute meditation sessions when he'd lead us through them. But I found that like afterwards, like my mind was just so much clearer. It was like all of this kind of pretense that I was carrying around at school, and this anxiety and this comparing myself to my friends, like feeling a bit different to everyone. It just kind of like everything got a bit thinner, and everything was like I just felt a lot more at peace with myself. And I just thought, like, what? How comes we haven't been taught this all along? Like, how comes this isn't in the textbooks? So yeah, I did my RS GCSEs. Got very good marks, by the way. in case you were interested. So I moved on to a performing arts school after I did my GCSEs, and that was really good. It was really good fun. But what I did find was that there's this kind of tendency amongst a lot of those kinds of schools, particularly the one I went to, where like it's quite celebrated to sort of drink and take drugs. You know, like all of our idols were doing that kind of stuff. You know, it's like that kind of rock star lifestyle that we were all aspiring to. So, you know, I got into all of that. And it was really good fun, actually, you know, sort of as it is when you're a teenager and you're experimenting with these kinds of things. But I found that quite quickly I was sort of, it just got a bit problematic for me, really. So I think I just had a bit of a revelation. I remember the first time I got drunk, it was sort of, I must have been about 13, 14 years old. I was at this party, and God, it was just kind of like, I remember thinking like, God, this is like amazing. This stuff can just make like all of my anxieties just disappear like instantly, pretty much. And I thought this could be the answer to the problems I've been having in my life. But I'm really onto something here. So you know, I took advantage of that, and yeah, things just started to go really, really downhill. Like at school, I was actually drinking before going to school sometimes, some mornings, like at the 6 a.m. train to school, I'd just be drinking on the way. I'd be drinking throughout school, doing other stuff like that. And some of my friends were doing it as well, but I think for me it just got quite bad quite quickly. So fast forward a couple of years, like I'm sort of drinking every day by this point, and all day, every day. And I was also in quite a toxic relationship. Like life just felt really, really difficult, and like I'd been doing something really wrong, and like I just didn't really know what to do about it. So I thought, okay, I need to just get away from London. I thought all of my problems are in London, and if I just get away, I can just live a new life and be happier. So I decided to go to university. I don't think I was really that interested in an education, but I just thought, you know, it sounded like quite a romantic idea, like going and have that student experience. So I went up to Nottingham, where I decided to study music and philosophy. And what I didn't realise is that I was taking my mind with me. So didn't really go to plan. It just wasn't good, to be honest. It really just made everything a lot worse, because really what I did is I took my mind and my habits with me, and I just left behind all of my friends and all of my connections. So I was really, really lonely. I was sort of so insecure. I didn't really make any friends the whole time I was there. I just basically spent the whole time just drinking and using drugs in my room. So I barely went out at all. So I kind of got myself into this state, really. I was just I was really depressed and lonely. So I started seeing a counsellor. You know, luckily I did want to get better. I sort of had that thing in me still where I was like, you know, I do want to be happy. So I started seeing this counsellor that the uni provided for me. And I had a few sessions, and he suggested that I went to the Nottingham Buddhist Centre. Yeah, so you can see where this is going. But I decided to drop out of university and move back to London instead. So I just thought, you know what, Nottingham is the problem. I need to get away from Nottingham. Yeah, so there's a bit of a pattern in my behaviour. So, but I thought I'd take up this counsellor's advice. So I googled London Buddhist Centre, and I saw that there was Buddhist centres in London as well. So I started making my way to the London Buddhist Centre. I did my first ever course, actually, that Subhadramati was leading. Subhadramati and Kuslasara were leading this, what was it? It was Introduction to Buddhism and Meditation. And I thought it was absolutely amazing. When I went in, I just thought it was like being at my GCSE classes again. I thought, oh, this is true. This actually makes sense to me. But the one thing that I think I found really, really difficult when I was going to the LBC was, it's only one that's been there will be able to understand this. So you walk in, and immediately there's probably about 10, 15 people like just in the reception area, sort of like all beaming smiles at you, like, oh, welcome. And God, I was so shy. I was just like, really, I couldn't I couldn't even look people in the eye. Like I felt really, really self-conscious, and like I just didn't belong there. So you get ushered into that room you go in where you're drinking tea and you're sort of waiting for the class to start, and everyone's chatting and everyone's making friends in their little groups, and I just found it so awkward. I really, really didn't like it. Again, it was that kind of thing of like, I'm different to everyone else here. Like these people aren't like me. I'm a bit of an imposter. I'm not really that welcome here. So I really made it quite difficult for myself, which is a shame because people were trying to, be friendly to me, but I was kind of just sending out signals of like, no, don't talk to me, please. So I think for a while I'd engage with the LBC, and then I'd find it really frustrating, and I'd leave, and I'd come back, and I'd leave, and in the end it just kind of felt like too much of a tug, like trying to live these two lives. Like I really, really wanted to learn how to meditate and to live a fuller life, but I just found that I couldn't. Like every time I'd leave the LBC, I would just, go back to drinking and taking drugs. So in the end, I just let that take over. I thought I can't keep doing both. I'm just going to live this other lifestyle for now and hope for the best. So that's what I did. And it didn't take that long again for me to just get into that same place that I got to at university. So so by this time I'm living away from my parents. I've moved out into a flat in Deptford, and it's just the drinking just carried on every day. As it got worse, I sort of noticed I didn't have any money anymore. So like things like shoplifting came in, and I was stealing from my friends, and before I knew it, I didn't have any friends because I'd let them all down and I sort of betrayed them all. So again, I was just really, really lonely. Just ended up in my flat drinking every day, sort of. It was actually very difficult to sort of maintain that lifestyle without any money. So I got in quite a bit of trouble here and there, and just in a really dark place. It was a very, very dark time. My life kind of felt completely empty. I didn't have a job. I sort of didn't really do anything. And so this carried on for I think this particularly bad period carried on for sort of quite a few weeks, until I just remember it really, really clearly. Just one morning, I think it was sometime in the afternoon, I just kind of came to, and I just had this really strong feeling of I just can't do this anymore. I really, really just can't keep living like this. I just couldn't do it. I sort of had that feeling of I want to reach for the bottle, but I just even that was I just don't have the energy to do this anymore. So I called my mum, and I asked if I could go around to her house to come back, and she said yeah. And I went home and I just got honest with my parents, which is strange because they knew that I'd had a problem. By this time I'm probably about 20 years old, and sort of I'd been acting out in all these kinds of ways, probably since I was about 14-ish is when I started to get in quite a bit of trouble at school and everything with that. So they knew that there was a problem, that there was nothing to hide there. But I think the thing is that I just got honest about it, because through all those years I was just in denial. I just completely denied it. They tried to get me help. They even tried to get me sectioned before, but I wouldn't ever admit that I had a problem. So this was the beginning of me getting honest, and they agreed to, have me live with them for a while, for a few weeks, just while I detox, basically. I just wanted to get all of this stuff out of my system, all of this alcohol. There was other stuff as well that was quite dangerous that I was taking as well, that I just completely wanted to give it all up. And that's what I did. So and it was difficult. But at the same time, I kind of knew that I couldn't do this by myself. I'd kind of tried many times actually over the years to try and get better on my own kind of my own resources, and just I could never really do it. So I remember going to the LBC, and beforehand I had actually been on retreat just once, just while when I was in and out of the LBC, and I remembered actually for that retreat I hadn't drunk for a few weeks before, and it was really awkward, and I was finding it difficult, but I just remembered feeling this sort of peace of mind, just this kind of like, I don't really have to worry about what tomorrow is going to bring. I just remember that I wasn't worried about the future so much. So I decided to go back to the LBC, just to work on my mind, really. And I think this time round, I had some kind of faith that if I really made the effort, it would work. With this whole imposter syndrome thing, I kind of managed to see it a bit more as a view. I remembered what I was taught at the LBC, and I thought maybe if I just tried really hard, I can just feel part of this community a bit more, and it won't feel so, like I'm not welcome there. So I started going every week. That was the thing. I made a commitment to go every week to the LBC, and before long, I was invited to be part of teams. I was invited to be on retreats, as a team member, and lo and behold, I was seeing the same people every week. I did start to feel more comfortable, and I did start to make friends. And before I knew it, it didn't actually take very long. I was actually really, really looking forward to seeing people, and I thought, oh yeah, my best mates are down there. I just love to see them. I'm in a study group now, and quite a few of us are here in my study group, and it's just been lovely. Seeing them come on this retreat and being able to go on walks with each other, it's been absolutely wonderful. And I think that's what kept me going. Really, I didn't have any trouble having faith in the Buddha and the Dharma. For me, that I was quite lucky that fairly early on, at school, learning about Buddhism, that did just click for me. It was more having faith in the Sangha, which was a bit of a slow developer. So I do consider myself really lucky that Buddhism has broken into my life. It's given me a direction. It's given me something to aspire to. It's given me something just to do with my life, to give myself to. It's also helped me to challenge these really unhelpful views I have around myself that stop me from growing. It's helped to break apart views that I have around other people, about my place in the world, and just about reality in itself. And it's made me feel part of a community. And to me, that means it's a context in which my growth and my development is supported and sort of nurtured. And I don't need to use my own willpower so much, because I've got so much support and energy behind me. And that's how Buddhism broke into my life.